Hi, my name is Jarmo Pohjaniemi and I'm a photographer. I'm today here at the WPPI show in Las Vegas, and there's so many cool things, gizmos and gadgets, lighting and cameras and lenses to check out. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Jarmo, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with OVM. Hi, my name is Manny. I'm the editor-in-chief and chief photographer for Our Vegas Magazine, and I have the great pleasure and honor to interview Jarmo. Jarmo, I'd like to ask you some questions if that's fine with you.
Shoot it away.
All right, here we go. So, tell me a little bit about your background as far as, before you got into photography. Where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Finland. At the young tender age of 6, or was I 7 years of age, I moved to Portugal with my parents, and I spent my time in Portugal in a warm climate, of course. And when I was 17 years of age, I left Portugal and I went to military service, and got into the photography actually, modeling business and fashion, and it was really exciting, and that's when everything started. So
great. Now, when did your interest in photography actually start? Can you remember the time, the age maybe?
I remember I had a girlfriend, and this is a really funny story, and I always was into these visual things, and I saw my dad have this camera, and I believe it was a Hasselblad. And I always was fascinated about it. I did not know really what was this all about, but something intrigued me that I need to get and do something with this thing. So one day I find myself in a pawn shop, and I find this camera. I believe it was Nikon, and this huge lens that they sold me ripped me totally off. It was a piece of garbage. But what I did, I ran home, and I ran to my girlfriend and I said, "Take your clothes off. I need to shoot and photograph you right now." She thought I was lost my mind, and I said, "No, I gotta do this." I pop a couple rolls of film and I shoot her, and run into the lab and take the film there. I'm all excited, only to find out that I underexposed everything. Everything was black because I didn't know anything about photography. I just knew that there was this vision going on that I had to capture this thing, but I didn't know anything about it, how to do it. So I had to learn the techniques. Those were probably my early day experiences in photography, and from there on it's been uphill, which is great.
Now, I've read in a couple of places that one of the pivotal people in your career that actually got you started in photography was the famed fashion photographer Bruce Weber. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, that is actually correct. Bruce actually, I went to a casting to his studio. I was in front of the camera before I went behind the camera, which is I'm really happy about it. Bruce actually told me that I should start exploring the world via viewfinder. And I took his advice very much so, because I liked it what he did. I had a chance to be in his sets, being photographed by him, and I actually was one of the models in his video for Pet Shop Boys called Being Boring. And that's when he told me, "Hey, you need to start exploring the world via viewfinder. You're asking way too many questions. Something's gotta come out of this."
That's very, very interesting. Now, did you do any fashion photography before you ended up at Playboy, or how did that progression happen?
Well, I always liked the human form, models, female, and I also see there's a beauty in men. However, but the female form was always very close to me. I remember opening a Playboy magazine, my dad's Playboy magazine at some point, and I look at the picture and I go, "Wow." So mesmerized about the whole thing, and it wasn't a sexual thing, it was just purely beautiful, and I could not really explain more. It was a beautiful woman, but there was something more special about than just a woman, and it was the photograph, it was the lighting, and that was really, that gave me a little bit a boost that there's something there photographing female. And I did got into the fashion shooting more because I was in the fashion circuits. I lived in Paris, I lived in Milano, I lived in Munich, Stuttgart, and London. Went to Tokyo, all over the place in the fashion world. So I photographed a lot of fashion models. But then at some point, somebody told me, "You know what? Shooting beautiful women, it's great and all that stuff. But you know what? There's more to photography than that." And the old calling came back to me. I need to shoot female form, and I like a naked female form, as long as it's done beautifully. having clothes on, it is just as beautiful, if not more. Taking clothes off, if you can portray women beautifully so it becomes an art, then I think that both journalists will marry themselves very well.
Now, when did you decide that you were going to take your career to Playboy and become a Playboy photographer? I know it's like every man's dream to want to shoot for Playboy and to be associated with Playboy. So how did that? Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
There's an interesting story about this too. A friend of mine said, you know what, you want to shoot for Playboy? That's cool. It'll never happen, buddy. There's a million other photographers who wants to do this. So what I did, I actually decided to call Playboy's main interface. And I got the secretary on the phone, Playboy Enterprises, hello, may I help you? And I said, and explained my story, and I said, I want to talk to somebody who's in charge of your photography. She just says, hold on a second, please. And the editor picks up the phone editors never pick up a phone. It's the secretaries. You don't get to talk to the editors. But for some reason, editor picked up the phone, and I'm explaining my story, where I'm coming from, what is my plan, and what would I like to do. And I told them, you know what, I can do this better than you guys. And the editor says, you got a lot of balls to say that to us. We've been in the business for quite a long time. I'll cut you a deal. You shoot 2 girlfriends of yours on spec, send me the film, and I'll let you know how much you suck. Well, you know what? That is exactly what I did. I shot maybe 30, 40 rolls of film and sent them to Playboy. A couple of weeks go by. I was already getting disappointed. On the 3rd week, the editor calls back and said, hey, listen, I've been checking out your film. How much you want for it? I was like, I think he said $3,800, and I said that was just about right. And that's how it started. And little by little from there, I worked myself up and started shooting smaller photo shoots, and I worked myself up all the way to the Playboy studio by shooting Playmates.
Now, how long have you been with Playboy?
Well, now it's been together. I started it in 1999, and was very intensively involved till 2013. I still shoot sometimes occasionally. I get to the commercial industry right now, and still shoot beautiful ladies, of course. Well, how can you say no when that's a passion of yours? So I'll mix a little bit of commercial, fashion, and Playboy, and still keep going on the same way as I started it.
Now, jumping back just a little bit, are you a self-taught photographer, or are you formally trained?
You are born with the vision, and when people ask, are you self-taught? That means to me a lot of things. I am self-taught, definitely. Of course, I assisted a lot of photographers as well, and I learned the tricks, attended some classes as well, and I figured out that they didn't help me anywhere. But since I was in the fashion industry in front of the camera, I had a luxury to meet top fashion photographers. That I asked them questions, bothered the heck out of them, assisted them, and I captured some real knowledge in a real-world action. And it was probably the best school of photography I ever went to. Does that qualify myself to a self-taught photographer? I would think so, yes. Because every photographer who wants to learn photography should do something about it and to capture the information that is secretly guarded by the master photographers. And there's only one way to do that. Get busy, ask questions, because if you don't, the answer will be always no.